Welcome back to the channel. All right, I've been talking to you about like the massive growth, the explosion of powerful mystics towards the latter half of last year, basically all of last year. And like I've been talking about Shathra, we just need to get to this. We just need to get to this. I took her to rank 3. I finally got enough fights together where I was like, it's time. Okay, we're gonna have battlegrounds. We have like EOP, one of the hardest fights in EOP. We're gonna have questing content. The whole thing. She's bonkers. Like this is battlegrounds. We got mighty charge, right? Like. And here's the thing, and here's what I want to get across with on this video. If there's only three things I get across. One is Shathra is amazing and way better than you probably realize. 2, I definitely have not mastered her yet at all. And so the ceiling, I know and I can tell, is much higher with her. And 3, the flow on this champion is incredible, right? Hopefully you're familiar with my channel. If you're not, welcome. Subscribe, hit like, all those fun things. It's really helpful to me and the YouTube algorithm. But we talk about flow. We've been talking about this for years on this channel about how much can the AI, can a node set just kind of ruin what you're doing, right? In a game where we have the AI, that's part of it. Like, I'm not saying it's good, I'm not saying it's bad, I'm just saying like the AI is intended to be different, and I think sometimes throw hiccups your way, and definitely node sets are in defensive kits. Shathra grabs fights and just strangleholds them. She is absolutely controlling fights. The AI, it does not matter. I'm gonna continue to show you what I'm talking about. That was an Ascended, Future Ant-Man, 50,000 score. The damage is very, very good. Oh, and I want to make sure I say this right now. You do not need her awakened. It is helpful. It is nice. You definitely do not need it at all. Okay. Now, some of you might not have seen this, and I'm going to call attention to this. This is a rank 4 serpent in the latest Battlegrounds meta, long distance relationship, fight or flight. Also with limber, okay? There are so many things going on here that help Serpent. This is a rank 4 Serpent. It was a relatively decent SIG, if I recall correctly. And one of the main reasons, she's phenomenal for Serpent, and she's also great for Maestro. She's great for a lot of stuff. Obviously, I'm gonna be showing you that, right? But watch this. As soon as we get our special one off, which we're gonna get off here just a second, we now have, you see it, it's a passive. That's one of the amazing things about her. All of her stuff is passive. You're like, we've got eggs on her to make it look like grapes, and we've got wasps that look like something else. And we've got this passive atrophy. So anytime Serpent gets a buff, watch how quickly all of his buffs go away. The atrophy, it's not easy to say, comes off of the special one, and it then is refreshed anytime you throw a special. And if you're playing Shathra well, you are throwing a lot of specials. We've got plenty of eggs, we got plenty of wasps. We're gonna hold our heavy, and we're gonna land the first hit. Look at all the vulnerabilities. If the first hit of your heavy lands and then you go directly into your special 2, you get more vulnerabilities and you do significantly more damage. Again, remember, I know you're like, some of you who haven't fought rank 4 serpents in Battlegrounds are probably like, this isn't that impressive. Trust me, this is very, very good. For a rank 4 serpent, look at that immortality, and it just goes down. We do get a little lucky with the wake up intercept, but otherwise that was so clean. And if anything, I could have played that better. I told you in the beginning, I have not mastered her. This is an initial WoW video where like I took the champion to rank 3. They are way superseding my expectations. Okay. Now, another one of her target matchups. Remember how much this node set is interfering with things. Our ability to parry and those sorts of things is Maestro. And one of the reasons is because one of his like closest things to a hard counter for Maestro is actually the atrophy. Because if you can get his buffs to end more quickly, then he's going to get out of his modes, right? And just so we can kind of talk about it, it is a 70% atrophy. So look how quick the unstoppable went away. We've got all of these weaknesses on us, right? So that's not good. That is obviously nerfing our damage. I'm doing a very bad job of managing that. But again, my videos typically aren't about how good I am. They are about how good the champions are. So we can just get back, hold our heavy, which is a massive, massive power steal, right? And then we can just wait basically for the opponent to charge into us, which they eventually will. And if they don't, it's okay, because your heavy has one of its shield levels of what it reaches across the screen for. And then remember, your special 2 becomes unblockable. So you're going to see fights where the opponent does not charge into me. This is part of why I talk about her flow, is even an incredibly passive AI can't really like mess you up. You're still okay. Like right there, he chose to block. The AI went passive, even though I was sitting there in my heavy animation. The AI chose to block. Her reach is so long, she still made contact. I was able to go directly into my SP2, which if activated while charging or performing a heavy attack, the special attack becomes passively unblockable. So that's what I'm saying is if they just hang back, you don't even have to make contact. You just have to be charging that SP2, cancel, or charging the heavy, just cancel into the special 2, and it becomes unblockable. This is the sort of thing when I talk about flow. Okay, the atrophy gives her incredibly high meta scores because that is something that's asked for by nodes and defenders. And then her flow is the AI and nodes just can't mess with her unless you're taking her somewhere. She has no business being used, and then that's not flow. That's on the player, right? Okay, so now we're going back into content. This is 9.1 Squirrel Girl. This is Power Shield and Power Snap. She has no buffs aside from the precision. So not that you don't have to worry at all about nodes like Power Snack, but it's minimal. You don't have to worry about your buffs going away or anything like that. Remember, the eggs and the wasp are all on the other side of the screen, and they are all passive. So again, it doesn't matter, right? Like they can't be shrugged or anything like that, so we don't need to worry about it. And then in case you were concerned about her damage capabilities, I think you're seeing they are A-okay, right? This is Power Shield, but you saw the damage in the other fights. Obviously we're not. Rank 4 Serpents, Rank 3 Maestros, and then she can just cycle her specials like this. Look at that. We're already back to our special 2 because again, that heavy is doing the power steal, right? She's all about these. You basically get the eggs up with your combos and then your specials, and then you convert them into wasps, and then you kill the wasps into vulnerabilities, and everything just basically dies. All right, this is obviously a fight that I like to test multiple champions out on. Here's finally Shathra. I think you got to see Kushala. Now, we're going to go into this, and this is going to be, I believe it's Can't Stop, Won't Stop. There's some things that are obviously helpful to Mystics. We've seen this before in AtCon. I remember this in Act 8. There's a couple of things I very much want to point out with this, okay? Because I've shown you some battlegrounds and some questions. Shathra has this whole vengeance thing, right? And Shathra starts each quest with a 0 persistent vengeance. You start with 2 when fighting in battlegrounds, which is awesome. I love that they do that kind of stuff. Or in duels. I think that's like for testing. So you can see like what it would be like, which again, it just shows really thinking about like, what's it like to actually play this champion. So you can see we have none of this. And some of you are like, that's great, Vega. What does that have to do with a goddamn thing? Well, when Shathra defeats an opponent, she gains 1 vengeance. Vengeance gains is increased by 1 against cosmic champions and Spider-Verse heroes, right? So I think DL called this out in his Spotlight context. So against Cosmic Spidey, you get 2. But you're like, why? What is the relevance, dude? Is for each vengeance, Shathra gains at rank, let's go ahead and do this at rank 3, 416 attacks. So you think about it, that is not nothing. She can get up to 3 of those. So it's over 1,200 attack. And then the other really interesting thing, and this is something we're talking about a lot in this video, is 1, all passive. So we don't need to worry about King Groot shrugging these things. He had over 1 million health. Now we are getting a Fury from, I think, if like we are unstoppable and then trigger the unstoppable again. I don't remember exactly what it is on the node, but this is a significant amount of health, all passive, so he can't be shrugging them. You see the huge damage coming off. And then the other thing is on our side, absolutely no buffs, but the, I think it's called Burnout. Watch, we're gonna get this right now. You can see it in the upper left-hand corner. It's the gray passive that is going down, is we don't have to worry about it because she's throwing specials so much. There's nodes that do this. They're like, hey, if you knock this down, you're gonna have to throw a special. If you do this, you're gonna have to throw a special. She, like, again, this is what we're talking about throughout this video, is there's so many things where the designer didn't be like, hi, she's going to directly answer this for you. It's more like all these nuggets and things that are, sorry, I've done enough editing. We're going to leave that in. But this is my live account on the live server. And then I want to show you this, right? Because now we have the 2 Vengeance, right? That was a Cosmic Champion. And that seemed weird. I guess that was a hero. I didn't think that was a hero. I'm not sure why we got 2, but we got 2. Let's not worry about it. And if that's a bug, shh, keep that quiet. Let's not tell anybody. But Rogue obviously gets rid of the debuffs more quickly, so we don't need to worry about that because again, everything is passive. Plus, we have gotten the Vengeance, and then this is where I'll finally talk about the Awakened ability. As an attacker, Shathra starts each fight with a regeneration passive, healing 2.5, that's at Sig 1, up to 5%, so that's Sig 200. This is what I was talking about. You don't need this at all. Of her base health for each stack of Vengeance over 4 seconds. You know, she does have a playstyle that can cause you to accidentally make some mistakes, especially as you're getting comfortable with her or as nodes are really, really challenging. So that ability to just like heal up, you're missing health, especially based on the Vengeance, is really huge. And then whenever a buff on the opponent expires naturally, Shathra has 20 to 80% chance to inflict one of her personal vulnerability passives, which are obviously great, but she's getting up to like 35 of them. So again, if you've got her awakened, awesome. I would not put 6 stones into her unless you're like a prestige fiend. So there are some folks out there that have that. She's great. She's amazing. All right, let's carry on with the rest of the video. All right, that's going to be a weird edit because I'm making 2 videos right now and I put the wrong champion in. We'll get that fixed up, get it all right for you because it is really cool to see. So now we're going to go on to this 9.1 champion, right? And this has, he can go unstoppable on his own. Then there's also Footloose. Does she counter unstoppable? Nope. Does she counter evade? But she has the atrophy. And this is why it's so incredibly powerful. And like why I said, you read her kit, and unless you really think through these interactions and you can foresee things like this, you're not being like, oh, well, she can handle like this sort of evade or this sort of unstoppable for me. No, what she does is she's going to make sure they last for an incredibly short period of time, thereby either neutralizing or very much minimizing the threat of the node. Watch, so he's got it. And he wasn't even done with his special animation yet. We're able to go directly into our special 2. And then we're going to go in. I should throw my special 1. Yeah, there we go. Get back some eggs. We've got a lot of eggs. We've got a lot of wasps right now. Now I want to let him throw his special. Again, the unstoppable and the evade are down. That was a great example right there of the flow that I was talking about. He did not rush in, he being the champion like I had hoped. Now we're going to hold our heavy, go do a little power steal, go directly into our special 2, and the fight is over. We're at a full health bar, full bar of health. If she was awakened and we had lost health, she would heal back up in the next fight. Like, yeah. I seriously might be pushing for her to move to the highest tier of the tier list. Now we're going up against a Gallon. This is that, again, that fight or flight. And with the weakness, and we've got limber, right? So we can't parry. We get like, you basically got like 2 parries if I recall correctly. So we'll take the first one in. We're just comboing. We're getting the eggs going here. I think we're going to try to bait out this special, get him nice and low on power. Come on, Gallon. There we go. Now we're going to have to weigh out the full unstoppable, or actually we got it, so that's nice. And here we go. We go in. 1 more parry, so I guess we got a 3. And then throw our special 1. So now the atrophy is up, which will help us with the unstoppable, but that's about it, I believe, with Gallon. No, it'll help us with the Furies as well, which will help us with Mystic Dispersion, getting to our special 2 more quickly. Here we go. Hold our heavy immediately into the first hit, and he's dead. He's already dead. That was an ascended rank 5 Gallon. Just gone. 51,000 in a really tough meta. Really tough meta to get scores like that. Now we're going into a fight that I always love to test, right, is, oh no, sorry. I actually am so used to testing the 9.1 Tiger who's healing. Now this was the EOP fight. And if you recall, this was an incredibly difficult fight. People were like very much struggling. We hadn't had a chance to see it before. And then it came on for us. Not in the finale. I'm talking about the one before that, right? So here we go. We've got the unstoppable, but remember that is, or sorry, the unblockable. Remember that is a buff. And then this just played out beautifully for us. If I remember correctly, the strategy was to parry light so that we don't get the neutralize on us, and then just play Shathra. We're gonna throw our special 1s, but then we're gonna do our power steal. We're gonna use our heavy when we have openings for it, use our heavy to get to our special 2. Hopefully the first hit lands. There we go. Throw, remember this is a very large health pool Tigra. So when you're seeing these damaging specials, keep in mind how big this health pool was so you can understand how much damage this was. And then this was just a great showcase for us. So I'm glad I decided to show this instead of the 9.1 Tigra. So here we go. And being able to dex Tigra's heavies or specials is obviously helpful. but you can get those down. You can get those down, go into our special 2, and basically this is just going to repeat from here. We have one more Battlegrounds fight after this, and I'm just going to kind of talk about Shathra now. For me, this is definitely not a kit that when I think about budget, like we grade these champions, right? Of course, we give them a war score and a battleground score. Her battleground score is actually very high. She's very meta relevant in battlegrounds with Serpent and Maestro being there, right? And then you just saw the other champions with buffs. We saw that buffs via questing and in battlegrounds are often a way the Kabam tries to make fights more difficult. So that all makes sense, right? High battleground score, not a good defender really or anything like that. I think she's very good in war. I think you need to get creative and you need to see the power in what she does, very much like how she handled Footloose and the Unstoppable and the Evade buffs that come off. So anything that's putting these buffs and where the buffs are making that difficult, or any fight where a champion is able to shrug debuffs or something like that, she's going to be really good for it. Her heavy is also insanely long, so if you don't have the ability to parry stun or something like that, she could be very good for it. And then on the questing side, right, they're broken down between meta, general, and flow. We've talked about the flow and how phenomenal it is. Then we've talked about meta, like all the reasons why I just said she would be good for battlegrounds and things like that in certain nodes. Her meta relevance is incredibly high. Like you're good for Maestro and Serpent, two of the toughest defenders in the game. And then you're able to take node sets that are very difficult and turn them off basically, or reduce the danger zone by 70%. And then that's also causing you, because you're hopefully stretched into Mystic Dispersion, to get to your specials faster, and everything you have is passive, and no one is immune to bugs or wasps, not yet anyway in the game. You see where this is going. Her budget is the only thing that is not the highest possible scoring, and that's because she doesn't directly counter those things, or she doesn't have resistances or immunities. But as you can see, there are plenty places to use her. So now we're going on. This is only a rank 2 Red Skull, and I think this is actually a power shield meta. So the special is going to do more damage than it otherwise would have. But again, hey, this is what they throw at us sometimes. This is an example of her being able to go outside of what you think is like her specific niche, because Red Skull's armor up buffs, they don't have a duration, right? That's the negative of atrophy, or like the downside, or the like whatever you want to call it, is that it's not a nullify. I know Red Skull is nullify immune to opponents anyway. It's not an armor break. So unless the buff has a duration, she's not going to be able to do anything with it. But again, like I said, if I only had 3 things to take away, one of them was definitely that this champion has outrageous, insane flow. In fact, now I'm remembering this fight, we only got power when they threw a special, so I couldn't even use my heavy to steal power because we couldn't get power that way. And she still just made it an absolute joke. She's awesome, y'all. She's going to be incredibly hard to gauge. Like I said, I've on my own, before the Illuminati had a chance to look at it for the upcoming month, I have scored her or rescored her after doing all these fights and going through this and prep for this video. And she ended up in the tier above all. We'll see what the Illuminati has to say. As usual, let me know what we think we got right. Let me know what we think we got wrong. Let me know. Do you think she's in the highest tier? Love to hear it. Thank you so much for watching. Take care.